Hello, my name is Claudia Corsetti, and I am a PhD student at the University of Glamorgan. In the last few years or so, I've been studying working law mothers, and I've been trying to understand how difficult it may be for them to manage to negotiate their working arrangement, commitments, and how to combine them with their caring responsibilities. And there have been a number of important, interesting findings from this research. To begin with, contrary to political and policy assumptions, they believe that there are two very distinctive and separate domains, the public and the private. My research has highlighted that at a very empirical level, that the two are very intimately interconnected. Now, following this, what has emerged in the stories of these working law mothers is that is the direct effect and impact that the presence or absence of flexible working arrangement have on the private sphere, and also on the ability of working law mothers to care for their children and also to care for themselves. So what has emerged is how the public sphere is increasingly engulfing the private, is infecting the private, and how informal caring attitude and practices are changing as a result of that. Now, in my research, about 2/3 of working law mothers that I have interviewed were really time-starved and were chronically tired. For this reason, they had to devise strategies to care for the children and manage to care for themselves as well. Now, this process appeared to be so widespread as to have generated some clear patterns. Essentially, care has turned mainly into some sort of episodic experience for many working law mothers. Experience such as mealtime, bath time, story time, bedtime, or together time. These are characterized by highly focused bursts of active care, what I have described as release points. Now, through these release points, mothers deliver the care in a very structured, a very routinized manner, with the objective of maximizing the benefits of their delivering, whilst at the same time minimizing any possible waste of time, energy, and resources. In this way, they also attempted to bring together consistency, familiarity, stability in the children's lives and in their own. Now, in all these respects, what has emerged is that caring practices have become very task-oriented, very action-oriented. In other words, most caring activities are defined by clear objectives, functionalities, and targets, which, ironically, characterize also the so-called unstructured free time that working law mothers have with their children. All of this is pointing to an increase in the commodification of time and care within the domestic sphere, which in turn is beginning to mimic more and more the organizational structure, the ethos of the public place. So, how can this situation be improved? In my recommendations, I have indicated some important stepping stones. Firstly, we need a gradual shift towards the implementation of long part-time working practices as the accepted norm. This is in opposition to the long hours culture that still defines today's workplace here in Britain. This should go somewhere towards ending the unequal and unjust two-tier system employment that so far has characterized the part-time work of many women and full-time work of many men. Yeah, we also need a statutory shift from disabling to enabling flexibility at work within all sectors and for all people as much as possible. I believe also it's important to promote the equalization of parental leave for men and women with parental responsibilities. This is because ultimately, just as we are all called to contribute in equal measure to enrich the world of work, collectively, we also need to contribute in equal measure to maintain and nurture the domestic sphere. At the moment, and for the longest time, what has been going on in the private sphere is very much regarded as peripheral, as secondary to the public. It's a sort of an afterthought. As a result of this, care is treated as a natural resource and is taken completely as a given and treated accordingly. But because the true source of all social and personal capital comes primarily from there, we can only continue to do this at our peril. Care is a value, is a practice, is a process. And if it's not nurtured, just as our natural resources can be impoverished, squandered, and depleted altogether. Since an attitude and the practice of care are central to all social development and human flourishing, we should be working more and more towards building a society based on an ethic of care as a model for both the public and the private place, rather than base our social life and private life on an ethic of work alone. Thank you very much.